Thank you, everyone, and thank you for organizing the panel. I think it's a very interesting subject, so I hope that we get some interesting points out of this. But to answer the question, I would say the biggest difference is that we're not just using, for example, a chatbot to answer questions or within like prescribed limits, right? We are creating agents that have some kind of autonomy and the ability to reason and learn with their experience, right? So the goal is to be able to infer, predict, and act, but then also learn and then rinse and repeat, right? So that they can maybe create new iterations of those same actions, right? So it's not necessarily like a request-response situation. So we've mentioned a few different concepts which are important to focus up on, right? First one is how are we coordinating efforts, right, between different agents? Let's say, yes, the task has been, the to-do list, I guess, has been created. We understand what the task is. We understand how they can communicate between each other, right? What are the parameters that are stored or that are calculated by each one of them, right? What are their specialties? But we now need to understand or need to make sure that they can make stateful like decisions, right? Like how do I know that the previous step, for example, if it's like a coding agent, right? Or yeah. How do I know that the steps on the to-do list have been completed? You know, that the functions, like their outputs, you know, they need to be stored somewhere, and that's where durable objects come in hand. The interesting thing about that is, you know, because of our Anycast network, it means that they can be stored anywhere. And when you know that these agents are maybe globally distributed, right? So these are different businesses that could be communicating with each other, right? The task is distributed between multiple agents, not necessarily within the same organization, right? So that means that they can be globally distributed, which means that it's very important to focus on the performance also, like how fast, you know, low latency, how can we actually pull those results and make them usable between multiple agents? But that also means that these agents need to be able to identify themselves somehow, and that's where, you know, later I guess we'll talk about governance and how to make sure that, you know, that we know that the right agents have access to this data.